Hi, this is Kurt Johnson doing a mindful morning from here at Shawbucks, downtown Jamestown, New York, on Chautauqua Lake. You can't be happy all day if you don't start in the morning. Should you choose to be happy, life is choice. Setting your course and aligning, we don't always wake up in a perfect mood. Sometimes I don't want to get out of bed, sometimes this, that. Sometimes I just wake up anxious for no reason. Maybe I had a dream, and once you start focusing on anxiety and not wanting it, should you wake up that way, it's a battle all day long. But if you can take a moment in the morning to just simple breath, 4 in and 6 out, or reset. Breath seems for me being the best way to reset a mood, because if you're anxious, you're short breathing, you're not in a consistent flow with breath. But there's many other techniques, tapping and meditating and all that. And my meditating kind of evolved into something bigger lately, because when I meditate, it's not about me and my alignment. It's about my alignment connecting with the field. Like I call it the hermetic field, but it's the field of existence. And it's love. And it's an alignment. And it's what I call the soul positioning system. And that's your authentic intelligence within you that we all have, the divine spark. Religions, everyone says different things. And I use different words just because I don't want to be enslaved in the old control by fear paradigms, that whether it's religions or other whatever philosophies are. So, your soul self, your authentic intelligent self, is a higher point of consciousness with an absence of fear. What I experienced in my book, you can see it behind me, Lone Star Rising, what I experienced in Texas that night at the pool was simply an absence of fear. And that gave me a spiritual awakening that led to 4 to 5 days without sleeping. And what followed from that was a misdiagnosis. They thought I was schizophrenic because I went without sleep. And I don't think they ever considered the spirit in the equation. And I think there's many other people out there that have gone days without sleep or had some kind of a download that was awakening, that if people can't understand it, they got to give it a label that there's some dysfunction or disorder within you. And my goal is to share experiential philosophy. That's why I wrote my book, that there are 2 fundamental forces that create movement within ourselves and others, and they're invisible forces. They're love and fear. +1 expansion, -1 contraction, just like we breathe. Count of 4 in, exhale, count of 6. But that's just the struggles in life, the pain and sufferings, the -1. And then overcoming that, learning from those bad experiences, moves you through the circuit. Everything's electric. It's currency, even our financial system. When you look at money, money's not bad or good. It's what you think about it. But your money goes out and it returns. The more you give, the more comes back. But if you're giving with restriction, feeling lack after you get given, and you gave from the energy of shame, even though you did a positive action, your vibration didn't match that. Now you're feeling lack and limitation. There's a lot to figure out here, but it's really so simple. I think that's why we've all missed the point of Jesus' teaching, Buddhist teaching, all those teachings. And a lot of the lens of what they're teaching is moving away from judgment or fear, being aware of the damages that judgment and fear brings. Non-judgmental choices from a higher point of consciousness is tapping into your higher authentic self with an absence of fear. You're kind of free flowing. And in life, we have so many challenges, and I have lost many friends and friends' kids and grandkids lately, and it just seems like there's more of that going on. And I lost another friend to suicide. And, their energy's still here. I mean, we're physical beings, and yet we're eternal beings, immortal souls confined in a structured physical reality, and it's difficult to truly understand navigating. And that's what a soul positioning system is, when you're in disharmony, it's questioning, asking why. Why am I tapping into your inner authority and not always believing the outer authority telling you what you should do, how you should behave? It's being authentic and honest with yourself. That's your internal authority, tapping into that higher self with an absence of fear. Am I not donating because I'm afraid I don't have enough money? Am I donating out of shame because I don't want people to look at me wrong? Am I going to church because I want authentic, intelligent love more in my life? Or am I afraid of my going to hell? Is that why I'm in church? Or am I afraid what everyone else would think if I didn't go? But our healthcare system works the same way. You're constantly going to the doctor out of fear. I could get this, I could get a virus. And in my opinion, fear is a virus that kills us, because what you think about, you bring about. If you're expecting to get a virus, and it's a fear you might, suicide, honestly, it happens, and I don't want to reflect negatively on it, but it's kind of a selfish act. Our ego, our physical being, is simply made up of judgment and fear. You can't have the ego without fear and judgment, because it wouldn't have anything to defend or protect. That's the simplest definition I could give for the material, physical being that we think we are, even though we're totally electric. Everything's electric. Every thought's a vibration and a frequency driven by electricity, and that's how we connect with the field. We're not only observing the field, we are the field. I mean, if you really read into the ancient wisdoms, it's very quantum physics, mechanics, not like I'm an expert or not, but I got all this from my experiential philosophy of experiencing an absence of fear and being given a vision that life's like a battery, the outgoing and return. So truly, when you're suiciding, you're dying from fear and judgment. And just to give an example, this isn't done up really nice, but this is the scale of emotions. Shame, guilt, apathy, and grief are all at the bottom below fear, the -1, and that's where you go in deep. In between the poles of fear and love, +1 and -1, this is where your emotional intelligence is used. And as you move above the horizon of emotional love, you tap into the authentic, intelligent love, which is, enlightenment, but you're actually moving into a higher state of scalar coherence, which is actually another way of saying a higher point of consciousness. Because without balancing love and fear and using fear to align yourself back to love, that's all what the soul positioning system is supposed to do. Take it like an example. If you're going to send a rocket and go to the moon, those bursts of air, is that bringing you back to alignment. And that's just what you do with fear. You feel the discomfort for fear. You forgive the fear that gave rise to the action, which gives you learning and understanding of why something negative happened to you, whether someone stole from you or whether, you've been assaulted or whatever. Someone only acted out of judgment and fear. That's where all negative action comes from, judgment and fear. And you're in a situation where you can't control everyone's behavior, and we're just always moving out of alignment and realignment, expansion, contraction, inhales +1, exhales -1, and you got two poles of the battery, and neither one's bad or good. It's the same energy, just different degrees or different frequencies, like the law of polarity and the Kybalion and vibration. So the more we can understand that, shame is a low vibration, and the longer you stay in it, it really makes you stupid. Shame, guilt, lack, limitation. Grief has a period. We're just coming off Memorial Day. I lost a buddy of mine to suicide, and it hurts. And you wish you could have been there or said something, this, that, or the other. but we're all here for our own experience. And if you realize that you're out of alignment and you're feeling all these guilt, shame, lack, limitation, that's not who you truly are. You know what I mean? You're an experiencer. You're here to experience the separation from love in this physical reality, and how to use your soul positioning system to return to love, the outgoing and the return. And that's what every book's about, whether it's the Bible, Buddhism, all these things. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. But the more you fall off the path and the more you return to love, the easier it gets. Even though it's difficult for a period of time, it might not take you a year or two to return, you know. And it's just, you know, and life happens, you know what I mean? And it's not always positive, and it's not always going to be positive. But when you can look through the lens of a soul positioning system, as that fear is not bad. Yes, fear separates you, but the discomfort from fear, what you don't like and don't want, is to assist you in choosing what you actually do want. And we all want to feel good and look good. We want to feel safe, and we want to feel protected. That's what's in my book. I learned it from Wed Howard, the announcer for the Ed Sullivan Show, one of the first Marlboro men. I mean, was just a brilliant guy. His radio show in the 50s was one of the most popular. It was called Melody Magazine. He was bridging magazines into radio, and he called his show Melody Magazine. Wed Howard's the one that gave me my slogan for Advanced Auto Tint, my first business that I started at the age of 19 in April of 1985. He gave me the brilliant slogan, "You've got it made in the shade," with his deep radio voice with Advanced Auto Tint. But this whole book's all about experiential philosophy, about your Lone Star rising, your authentic, intelligent self rising above the horizon of fear, and understanding it's a language, it's a communication that you've been doing your whole life. This isn't just my story. This is a way that you can read my story and reflect on your life's experiences and become your own authority of your inner wisdom. That is what you're here to experience. We're here to experience a separation from love, which only fear can do. And yet we're here to experience the return to love. You know, call it a resurrection, whatever it is, or a renewal, or, you know, that's the constant flow of life, the ebbs and flow, the frequency, the plus one, the minus one. We're learning from pain and suffering. And that's what we're here to do. It's a school of hard knocks. You got to be tough if you're going to be stupid, or make smarter choices. But simply know if you're depressed or whatever, you're just constantly focused on what you don't have. And the more you think about what you don't want, unfortunately, you get more of the same. And it's not in the beginning. It's a difficult shift to just say, hey, I don't want this. What do I want? What do I want to feel? And your feelings have to precede your words, and your feelings are your breath. You know, are you in harmony? You know, coherence is the heart-brain connection, and it's when you're flowing in harmony, and your breath, and you're feeling good. And when you're out of that rhythm, there's many different techniques you can use, like heart math is one, heart rate variability, and there's many other companies. This goes way back into, I think Russian was probably the first scientist that discovered heart rate variability. I don't know that for a fact, but I heard that from a friend of mine that's a medical scientist. But anyway, that is your coherence. When you're in a state of love with a lesser absence of fear, it's easier to make decisions. Life comes to you. And when you're focusing on the negative, judging, complaining, these are all fear-based emotions, you know. So emotional intelligence is just to know when you're in misalignment. That's all anything about my whole book, anything is a language. It's an alignment, choosing love over fear, but allowing fear to be your guide. It's part of your soul positioning system, to know when you're in judgment and fear. You know, when you're protecting and defending your physical self, that's your ego. That's not your true self. That self's going to unfortunately die and get buried someday. but your frequency, the way you tapped into to life and the energy you brought into other people's life, that part of you lives on forever. So do you want to, leave with coherence and compassion and kindness, or are you going to leave this world with, regret, shame, guilt, lack, limitation? Hopefully I'll be remembered as someone that, left the world in a positive, more positive, but I had negative experiences along the way. That's what life is. And simply recognizing when you're in a non-coherent state, it's from your judgment and fear. You can't have anxiety without fear. You can't be embarrassed without fear. When you really look at it, the simplicity of this, to me, it's dumbfounding how simple it is. And people think I don't know. It's just so simple. I can't stop talking about it. And it seems like everyone would get it and understand it. And they do. And sometimes they often comment that I don't know what you're exactly saying, but I like the way you say it. Well, that's the frequency with what I'm saying. It's a non-verbal communication, And so with that said, I just wanted to reach out and explain a little more about my book, but we're all on our own experiential journey. And experiencing life is what it's all about. You're going to have the negative and the positive. Don't judge it as bad or good. It's information. Learn from fear. Fear's not the enemy. Fear's both the positive and negative. It's all the same frequency between love and fear, just different degrees. Thank you, guys. Have a great week, or have a great day.